Welcome to Patrick and Friends Music Company. It's Clement to take you on your continued journey with the tuba. So if you've caught the last video, you've learned how to form your embouchure, how to create a buzz, how to make a sound, and hopefully work on those long tones that I was talking about. So what we need to know now is the key principles of really basic music making for everyone. And again, I hold this trite and true for the tuba. We've got three things to worry about, all right? We've got our time, our pitch, and our rhythm in that order. So time is vastly important for a tuba, all right? We're bass players, essentially, in the band, in the orchestra. Of course, we have percussionists to help keep the time, but when they are not playing, we have to be the backbone. And there's numerous pieces where we are keeping that strict time. If you're thinking Western marches, we are keeping time the entire time. So how do we work on our time keeping skills as an instrumentalist, right? How do we work on that? A metronome, right? A metronome is going to take us everywhere we want to go when it comes to time. I like to find a good, steady tempo that I can work. Now, if we're talking about those long tones like the last video, a good exercise to do is to play for 8 counts, maybe take four beats of breath in, and then play for 8 more counts. You know, you can work something like this. And so on and so forth. So another exercise we really want to work on is keeping it right with the metronome. So just like the last video, we want to work on that 2 articulation. So with the metronome, we'll go back on that low C. And I'm just trying to match the metronome exactly where it's at. So on and so forth with that as well. It can be mundane, it can be quite repetitive, but if you really sit there and you take the time and listen to what's happening, listen to how you're articulating and how that sound is coming out, right? Because we're always looking to have that big full sound. It's going to take you so far just by doing that over and over and over again on every note. Again, is it the most fun to do? I definitely think so. I love sitting and I love just listening to what I'm doing so I can work on everything that's happening. But, of course, we need to add different patterns for that. So, if we're talking a simple scale pattern, if we do a pentatonic scale and we need to move around, because obviously music is going to move around. It's not going to just sit on one note for you. So I like to, same thing, take this tempo and maybe work a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Just like so. So I'm really looking to match even the shortness that the metronome is giving me, because for tuba players, we're always going to play way longer than everyone else in the band. It's natural. It's how it is. It's the nature of the beast, right? We're bigger. We're going to have more resonance as things cut off. So if we're really sitting there and thinking about our articulation, it's going to take you a long way. So again, time is the first aspect. You want to sit with a metronome. You really want to understand what's going on. You really want to make sure you're staying on beat, or if you're practicing off-beat stuff, make sure you're off beat, right? So that second thing we were talking about is pitch. Now you can kind of combine time with pitch if we're talking about practice methods. So same thing, I want to make sure that my ear is right on when I'm playing any of these pitches. It's when you're by yourself, you're kind of setting your own standard. When you're in a band, you've got to make sure that the tuning is going across the band and that everyone is matching each other. So a big thing I like to work on is working on those long tones on drones. So if we take that first exercise we were doing with 8 counts and 4 counts to breathe, and we listen to that C drone. Oh, maybe I cannot play. Oh, there we go. So if we listen to that C drone with the metronome, and we're thinking 8 counts in, we're thinking 4 counts in and 8 counts to play, then I'm just sitting and listening to my tuning on this. adjust into the next note. Now, obviously, you have to take the time and get to the next note, which is completely fine. But now I've met my next note, I want to sit and do the exact same thing. So sometimes you really want to take the time. You're going to need longer than 8 counts. You really, really want to find exactly where that pitch is going to be. Now you have 2 options when it comes to your pitch. Obviously, not a lot of us are going to be great at finding it right away with our ear. So you can use the natural tuner and look at it. So a good exercise is to sit on the note with the metronome until you see it read perfectly. You don't want it to vary, you don't want it to be wavering and everything like that. You really want to make sure that the pitch is right on. But again, always with a metronome. It's extremely important to continue to play with a metronome through all of your warm-up exercises. At this point forward, as long as you're playing the tuba, trombone, trumpet, anything, you want to sit there and have that metronome going. That is going to be the very first thing that everyone is listening for when you're auditioning for bands. How good is their time? Because when you're by yourself, you have to have that good internal pulse. And then, of course, we add the pitch to that. You sit, find your pitch center, and just take your time. Take your time. It's not going to happen overnight, right? These are mundane for some, but very technical exercises that you have to work on to get very, very proficient at this instrument and every other wind instrument for that matter. Now, the third thing we're talking about, right, is rhythm. Now, what do I mean specifically by rhythm? Well, differentiating rhythm between what you're playing stylistically, right? If I'm playing an 8th note, do I know if it's straight or if it's swung? So if the difference between a straight 8th and a swung 8th is new to you, this is what I mean. So to the beat, this is our quarter. Our 8th note is going to be double that. Dut, 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 dut. Our swung 8th notes are going to be a little bit bouncier. Da, 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 da. Now, what's very important is that we are not trying to make those triplet-y, right? So triplet, 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 because you also have dotted 8/16, da, 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 which are using the subdivision of the 16th note inside of it. Now, again, a lot of this is just math, if you're thinking about subdivisions and everything like that, but for our rhythm, it's very, 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 very integral that we're not, swaying one way or swaying the other way depending on what you're playing, right? If I'm playing a Count Basie style 8th note swing, it's very laid back, all right? But now if I have to play Ride of the Valkyries and I'm playing a dotted 8/16 note, I have to make sure that that 16th is lining up as if there's 4 16th notes there. So again, time, your pitch, and your rhythm. These are the key elements of really any music making. You want to sit and you want to take the time, no pun intended, and figure out these 3 components because those are your basic key concepts of music making. So with a metronome, with a drone, with a tuner, these are going to be your key tools of getting these accomplished. So again, different exercise you kind of want to work on is just getting articulations going with a metronome, like so. So we have 8th notes, right? We have triplets, and we've got our regular quarter notes. If you take that pattern and you work it through, at least a 1 octave, a 2 octave range, you're going to start seeing vast improvements in your playing. So it's taking the time, it's sitting there, it's getting the practice technique over and over and over again. Now, if you're playing a sport, there's no difference to that, right? If I need to work on my backswing for tennis, I'm not just going to do it once and I'll be like, okay, cool, I got it, now I'm done. No, you want to keep doing that until it feels normal. The same applies for music, that usually goes over people's heads, but it's the exact same concept. Until it feels completely familiar to you, where you're not having to think about it at all, and it's as natural as possible, and you're getting a good sound, and your time is right on, and your pitch is right on, and you can play anything rhythmically, that's your bag right there. That's the bag you need to stay in, and that's what you need to keep working on until you get to more advanced material. So remember to like and subscribe, check out our Patreon, and stay tuned so I can teach you more about the tuba.